Welcome, guys, to Kop Konclusion. It's myself, SILO, and we got SILAA. How you feeling today, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Good still. You?
Good. How you feeling? After the game? We've had a day, 24 hours to rest up. We're going to be talking about the 1-1 draw at Anfield, Liverpool and Chelsea, which was, to me, was a good game. Like, in the sense of, I think the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they looked. Actually, even if I backtrack, watching them against Arsenal, I'm going to go back to Arsenal for reasons, because when I watched them against Arsenal, the first 20 minutes or so, they had Chelsea on the ropes. Or first 10 minutes, Chelsea was looking defensively horrible. I think I tweeted something like, without Kante, no, their defense is not looking that good. I know they're trying to strengthen, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw someone tweeted back to me like, well, there's no Kante. And I was like, yeah, I hear that. Then Kante is going to play against us. So I thought they weren't really fearing them, but we know the strengths. And I think it was highlighted a lot about Lukaku and Virgil's battle. But I think Matt deserves a lot more credit. But we'll dive into that. Initial thoughts going into the game. What did you think?
Initially going into the game, I was very confident. I predicted us to beat them 2-0. I know 2-0 is a stretch at that point, but I felt most likely we would win 2-1. But I had a feeling we could basically shut them out because for me, Pulisic is their most dangerous player. And I think the way he plays and the way we play makes him much more dangerous than I'll probably say most of Chelsea's other attacking players. Although he doesn't score, although he's struggling to score, he's got this confidence problem, whatever's going on with him. I feel Werner as well, the way because of his pace and the way he stretches the defense, for me, would be more dangerous as well than Lukaku. Lukaku's strength is his strength. And against, we saw in the game, and from when I've ever watched Lukaku, actually, when he goes against like strong defenders that are up for the challenge with him, they're up to battle with him, he doesn't look so great. And Matip and Virgil are both up for it. And as we saw in the game, the guy didn't get a sniff.
It's true.
So I didn't really fear him in that game, to be honest. I thought, like, for me, I felt if he gets that kind of opportunity, like what he scored against Arsenal, he'll obviously score that. He's a good striker.
It's a tap-in as well. I think people forget that out of all the Pablo Murray mistakes and everything, he scored a tap-in. Like, it was a cross-goal, tap-in, and defensive errors. So I definitely agree with you there. For me, I was similar. I thought we was going to concede because I think Chelsea always get some luck. We always get some stupid or weird goal conceded against us. Like, it's always something weird. So I expected something like a Mount type. You know how Mount scored last time, and one of them players, I knew it wasn't going to be Lukaku. It's funny because I was actually saying to my brother before, I was saying, Matip, I think you know when Matip and him. Matip went in for it and he was left and he ate Matip, yeah? I knew Matip had one of those in him. But Matip's brain he knew that, because he likes to run it, intercept the ball and start and make that long pass and do what he does best. So we knew it was coming. Obviously, it happened. He got left on the floor and I'm glad he just was like, okay, I'm not doing this again. I'm gonna give him a yard or so. For me, I was looking at, for me, I think we said in the chat, but I was looking at things like where Fabinho sits is because Elliott's playing is it going to take away from John Henderson, who likes to really like push out to the right hand side? Is it things like that? Is that going to affect our system? That was one of my concerns, and I would have obviously started with a different team personally, but it doesn't take away from the performance. I think the first 10 minutes we played absolutely well. I think they couldn't really get out of the first half. They weren't that great. We was hungry. They looked a little slow, a little rugged. And then, they like Chelsea calmed down, and then it went to be, that's the first 25 minutes is when we're kind of trying to get that first goal. So after the first 20 minutes, what was your thoughts when you saw the game started to like level up a little bit in terms of possession, started to I wouldn't say it leveled was equal, but when they started, calming down and making more 5-yard passes, what was your thoughts?
My thoughts is just I'd probably not to say, I want to say to generalize it, but with us, basically, most games we normally fly out the block. So first couple minutes of the games, we normally start pretty fast. And then after about, say, 10, 15 minutes, not to say that we're not as dominant, but our play slows down a little bit and games ebb and flow. So teams get into games, whatever else, they can come into a game a bit more. Maybe they actually dominate, and then we're on the back foot. But I wouldn't say Chelsea dominated and we're on the back foot. They just got into the game a bit more. Obviously, the crowds, first time we played Chelsea in a while, Chelsea, they started as well as us. Anfield, they're up for it. We've got that rivalry with Chelsea anyway. So I think that all kind of played into it, and then Chelsea settled down a little bit more. And then they basically scored. But for me, it wasn't like, I felt until actually Chelsea scored that they were any real threat to us, to be honest. And I only felt after they scored, then they kind of had like a couple of, they started to create like a few opportunities and look a bit dangerous, and the game started to look a bit more interesting.
Yeah. So walk me through the goal. Okay. Where do you think the mistakes were made for that goal? I know what I think personally. Where do you think the mistakes were made in that goal? Or do you say there was no mistakes? It was just a bit about like, that was just perfect play from Chelsea. That was seen. It was done like a train off the training ground.
That definitely wasn't done off the training ground.
You don't have to be, Liverpool. I have to kind of, ask the other end of the question.
For me, it's all right. For me, it was a really good finish, to be honest. However, I don't think that he meant it, to be honest. I think that the way he heads the ball, it looks like he's trying to, for me, it looks like he's actually trying to like flick it on towards the far post for somebody else to get onto the end of it.
My exact thoughts too.
That's how it looked to me. And it just looked like, obviously, it's the way it's just looped. It was a really good header towards the goal.
Do you think because my thoughts was the exact same thing. And I looked at Robbo and I thought, why didn't Robbo get quicker? But do you think it was almost, we was too busy surrounding Lukaku as the threat that we forgot that there was other players around?
Yeah, for me. At first, when I looked at it, I just thought, when I looked at it, I was just like kind of stunned. I was like, huh? How did that go in, kind of thing? But then when I'm looking at the replay, I'm thinking, why is Havertz so free? It's like no one's on him, and it's not like he's not a tall guy. So yeah, I felt that we just we concentrated on obviously Lukaku and like their big central defenders that went up for that corner rather than like watching everyone, if that makes sense. Because Havertz, he's a big tall guy. All right, from what I know of him, I don't really see him scoring that many headers or anything. I don't see him as this aerial threat, but he's tall enough to be an aerial threat, to actually respect the guy and put someone like decent enough on him to like man mark him. So
yeah,
did you actually have someone on the back post?
No, because it was like a zonal defending type, around Lukaku. And Robbo was a bit slow to get out because he was about, I'd say, a couple seconds out from actually maybe jumping over him or making some form of an impact on that cross. So that's why I thought this is weird. I remember us coming out of the zonal defending for some time. So I don't remember us setting up like that, as in like that structure, no one on the back post in terms of that zonal. So that was weird for me. We have to mention, yeah. I'm obviously, I love my tip and whatnot, but let's talk about the fact that Mason Mount burnt him with one touch. I have to bring it in. I don't like Mason Mount, but he got burnt.
Yeah,
he got burnt. I have to mention that he got burnt and he come back harder, but he got burnt. Yeah. That was a good piece of skill. Yeah. But let's move on to, okay, that's the first goal. At that stage, what are you thinking? Are you thinking, oh my God, it's going to be long for us to get in the game? Where the goals coming from? What are you thinking at that particular moment?
after they scored and the way the game started to change, where they were kind of hitting us a little bit on the counter as they were going forward and starting to look a bit dangerous, I was starting to get a bit annoyed to the sense that I wanted Jota to play just because of how he plays, and he was the guy on form. And I really felt like attack wise he would have made more of a difference if he had started the game and Firmino came on. But so I was looking at that like, this is, yeah, it was starting to annoy me a little bit. And then not to say that I didn't I like the fact that Klopp had the faith in Elliott to play him and whatever else. But I'm looking at it like Elliott keeps drifting to the right on where Henderson's going. Fabinho looked more forward than and Henderson looked like the one was holding. And I'm like, why is this happening? It should be Fabinho's our best he's our best holding midfielder. So he should be the one in that DM role. And if he's there, not to say that I'm saying that Henderson's this like supreme pass master that's passing the ball around everywhere and whatever else, but his range of passing is pretty good, and he can like spray the ball around a little bit more and whatever else. And if he's on the right on that side where when Trent goes forwards, then Trent becomes more dangerous down that side of the wing because he's got that cover of Henderson. And it seemed like Trent was trying to cut in a bit too much, not just a bit in the first, but towards the as the game flowed on, even after we got back into it, it's even worse. He just seemed central. He didn't seem like he was wide at all. And then Elliott was wide. Salah was wide all the time. And I'm thinking Salah's most dangerous threat is when he cuts in, and then Trent's the one that's going wider. But because Trent's gone in the middle, for some reason Salah was staying wide, but then Elliott's wide as well. It
was a bit confusing, isn't it? That he loves Salah. That's the side he wants to play on, and wants to play the 1-2. It's like they build a little bromance, and that's how he likes to play. But as you mentioned, the goal, handball or not?
Yeah, it's handball, definitely. Yeah,
I agree.
Definitely,
I definitely agree. I think, by the Lord,
handball wasn't a dispute for me at all. In it, it's unfortunate. I always say it's harsh in the sense that because it's ball to hand, but the ball's going into the net, and
someone pushed it out with his hand, with his arm. Sorry, so yeah, I don't know how that was even a debate, to be honest. You might say it's a bit soft, and then I'll be honest though, I didn't even think about a red card at the stage. The red comes and I'm like, oh snap, oh yeah, he needs to be sent off. So Salah's penalty, obviously spoke about it on the post-match game, so I won't go too much into it. You know, Mendy tried to put him off. Players tried to Jorginho tried to put him off. Rocket over left foot.
Yeah,
Rocket. Amazing. We all know what he delivers, and people don't put enough respect on his name. I won't go too much into that. Rocket. At that point, what are you thinking? We are pressing them. They ain't really had any chances. They had a fluke goal or a goal that was conceded through our laps. Are you thinking, okay, we're gonna go in and win this, or are you thinking, ooh, it's still difficult? Like, what is your thought process at that time?
My thought process at the time is actually everything you're saying. I felt we are going to go and win this. We've got more than enough time to win this, so we will do it. However, it is going to be tight because I know Chelsea are just going to defend. Like Chelsea are under Tuchel. Chelsea are, I would say, they're not quite the same, but they're almost like Chelsea under Jose Mourinho the first time, if that makes sense. They're very defensively sound, and for a top side, all right, his Chelsea side, they are more attacking, I would say, than that first Mourinho side I was talking about. They do come out more than them, but they are very defensively sound. And I knew just with 10 men, he ain't gonna go. He ain't trying to win this game now. He's definitely sitting back. And
I think even if you look at the substitutions, he brought Kovacic on, he brought Thiago Silva on, and I feel like he set his team up very well. And I don't want to talk about Arsenal all the time, but when Xhaka got sent off, Arteta was scratching his head. He didn't make any tactical changes. He didn't look into making tactical changes. He didn't try and change anything. I still think he put the wrong team in originally. Cool, I'm not an Arsenal fan. I don't know how they play. I don't know what their method is. But you'd want to see some form of technical. This when you look to your managers to kind of go, okay, but this is how we're going to try shape the game. We're going to try something new here. And I think this is what shapes managers. So when I saw Tuchel, I always thought, decent manager, follows in Klopp's thing. He's got, he had PSG. He should be winning things. I never really gave him the respect, I thought, because for me, he didn't earn it. He kind of was left with Klopp's team. He was all right, it wasn't nothing special. Comes to Chelsea, I was like, yeah, of course he's doing better than Lampard. Who wouldn't do better than Lampard? Do you know what I mean? And then I looked at his style of playing. He's got them defensively just, sorted. He tries new things. He's always looking at in the pocket and spaces, and he's a good manager. I'll give it to him. And the substitutions he made shows how good of a manager he is, because he thought, I could actually still win this game, but I'm not prepared to risk it. I'm gonna bring on defensive-minded players. I'm gonna beefing up, because he could have went back to about 4. He could have went back to about, he could have reverted to that. He didn't. He brought in somebody with a bit more experience and brought in another person in the middle. Remember, they took Kante off as well. That is a big, oh my God, what you're doing. But he knew that Kovacic is somebody who will defend and then be ready to attack, because he was bombing forward and defend. He's got that same type of legs. So he actually will end up being two men for them. And I feel like he set up, it almost became everybody behind the ball. Look how he stays up the field, and anybody just one man runs off him at the time, and that's what get them in the game. So when he made them subs, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be hard." I know Liverpool fans are sitting and going, "We should have won. We should have done this." But we gotta be honest. They set up defensively, and that's one thing that they really do well. They set up very defensive. They got 3 centre backs playing, 2 wing backs or wing back, and 2 wing backs, and so basically 5 at the back, 3 in midfield. And they just sat and just waited for a counter attack, waited for Lukaku to win the headers, which he didn't. But I'm not too fussed. Like, we could have won that game. It's Klopp made some for me, a questionable substitution, bringing on a left back. I thought Andy Robson didn't play that well, so it makes sense to me. He gets away with that one. But it's the intent that kind of had me a bit, why would you bring on a Keita or a Minamino, or, do you know what I mean? Just show some intent. But Klopp said,
on that is that, yeah, I do agree with you with the substitutions and stuff, but also I felt that Tuchel, of the 2 managers, had the better. He had the better in-game changes and adjustments as well. Because if you look at the second half, when we first started that second half, we were all over them. We were on them, and to vindicate what I was saying, I'm actually thinking, when I'm watching, I'm thinking, yeah, it's just a matter of time. We're going to get this second goal. It's just when it's coming, because we had them heated up and they were under pressure. And then I saw Tuchel. He started. I don't know what he was saying, because obviously I'm not a lip reader, and from the angle they're showing and whatever else, you can't. It's not even like last season when there weren't no fans. Certain times you would hear little things the managers say, and it could obviously you'll hear him say push up or whatever, and you will see things change in the game and think, oh, yeah, whatever. But I didn't hear what he said. But Chelsea, tactically, they seem to come out a little bit more. Whereas they were sitting very deep in the it wasn't just that they were sitting deep, but they were sitting deep, but it almost seemed like they had no expansion to their game at all when they did get the ball. So we were just relentlessly attacking them, and it just looked like it was going to score sooner or later. And then they seemed to change it after about 15, 20 minutes. And then it's we couldn't find no space. Our play was starting to slow down. And then they were starting to come out with the ball a little bit more. And it wasn't that they really created anything too much. But with 10 men, they were kind of hitting us on the counter. And I'm thinking, how is this happening? They've got 10 men.
Mm-hmm.
And as you say, Kovacic was he was all over the place. He was actually holding the ball, running out with it, whatever else. Then they were starting to build attacks kind of slowly. You'll see Mount come up and join them. Alonso was even trying to get involved at some points, and I'm not sure if Tuchel. So I don't really think he's that kind of manager. He doesn't come across as that kind of manager. But a lot of the Chelsea players, then they started play acting, wasting time and stuff like that. And it's coming to the point where, well, at the end, I was very surprised there was only 3 minutes of extra time, to be honest. That surprised me a lot. And with the two managers, as I say, I think Klopp got it wrong with the team selection in the beginning anyway, but I do understand why he, like, the players that he picked and whatever else. I wouldn't argue with it. I didn't argue with it anyway, to be honest. But in game, definitely with his substitutions and definitely with some of the changes, I feel he could have done better. Obviously, Firmino, if he's injured, he's injured. There's nothing you can do about that one. But yeah, bringing on a left back with 5 minutes left in the game, and it's 11 versus 10, and we want the 3 points. I feel, even though Robertson didn't have a great game, I'm just like, come on, man. I think we should show like a bit more intent to try and get the 3 points personally. Unless Robertson was injured, which he didn't seem to be injured. So, and then obviously Elliot, like, I love Elliot as a player, and I think he's got a big future with us. But I just feel the stature of that game, I didn't feel he was ready to make the kind of impact that would have been decisive in the game. Don't get me wrong, I don't think he played bad. I don't think he played like great or amazing either at the same time. He had a decent game, but he had a decent game without really affecting the game. You can say where, he made a decisive contribution, or he was so great in the middle, like in regards of our energy and the engine that he had to have played, or anything else like that. And I think it was Jimbo that was saying yesterday, like, he wants to see the Elliot that was at Blackburn, and the one that's running at players, attacking, taking shots on and stuff. And it's not that he's not a confident player, because you can see he is, but it's almost like, I don't know if it's Klopp, it's how Klopp's telling him to play, or he's just feeling, all right, I'm obviously with like better players and whatever now, so like I can't take that. I can't just do my thing when I'm ready to do my thing as much as I would have obviously when I'm at Blackburn. So I'm not sure if it's one of the two or whatever, but yeah, I definitely would have played Keita or Thiago starting in that match. So
yeah. I guess yes, I agree with you. I guess it's one of those things. Klopp said, 3 games, 7 points, to calm down, no need to panic, stuff like that. And my thing is, I think I tweeted something like, during like last week or a couple of weeks ago, everyone didn't really see us being title contenders. They kind of didn't think we were even in the conversation. No one really thought, because of the transfers of other teams, that we couldn't compete. We couldn't do stuff like that. And I felt like this game showed that we will be in and around the fight. I don't think that's what I think, other than Liverpool fans that's been saying it, a lot of people haven't really taken notice of us in that sense. And I felt like this was our first real test. And I can take a lot of positives out of the game, like what our captain Hendo said on Twitter. There's a lot of, it's not the result we wanted, but there's a lot of positives you can take out of that game in terms of the team and where we're at right now. It's great to see Virgil van Dijk back. Again, Matip, I could say what we want about Virgil and that he gets his praise of time, but Matip, for me, I think deserves a lot more. We give him his flowers now, because as long as he stays fit, that's the partnership there. I think they've lost 1 game or no games at Anfield. Lost 1 game and it wasn't Anfield together as a partnership. Arguably still one of the best centre backs in the Premier League, and I think it shows. I think now people should be looking at us thinking, okay, I know the transfer stuff, and we all want transfers and stuff, and I'm for that. I'm not saying we don't, but I think we should start looking at, people should start looking at still knowing that we will be fighting for the league this season. It's not going to be easy, but we will be in and around there. Looking at Man City, Manchester United as well today, they should have lost to Wolves. I know it's still early doors, but this is where you really want to collect the points. And I always said this back in the day, there's a lot more of the teams, the smaller teams, say outside the top 6, than there is top 6 teams. So it's all about just making sure you crack on and getting them wins. I don't know how you feel about that. Do you see that more of a drop of 3 points, or do you see that more as a good draw?
I see it as
2 points.
I still see it as a drop of that 2 points loss. But it's if you look at when we did the live reaction yesterday, like you could see that we were all annoyed about it, but it's 24 hours later. The disappointment has gone down. I'm still a bit disappointed, but when you look at it at the end of the day, it's Chelsea. If you're gonna say through the season, if we can try and take like when we play like the two matchups like with like say Chelsea or something, we can take like at least 4 points from it, then it's cool. So we're taking a point at home. It's obviously slightly easier to win the home game than the away game, but if we beat them in a reverse fixture, that's 4 points of one of our biggest rivals. So
it's true.
It's not the end of the world. And as you say, it's early in the season. It's not a loss. It's still a point. Even if we lost it, to be honest, it's still early in the season. There's so much that can happen, to be honest. And I don't know if it's just the way the media does it, or it's just us as fans. Obviously, us as fans, we want to win every game. So we're annoyed when we don't win a game. We're disappointed, we're pissed, whatever. But just for a lot of the times with the way the media what's the word?
That portrays.
No, that's just the way that they do things with sports these days, especially football. I feel like sports like football. It's just they're just too quick to say, to change like the storyline or what's going on. It's like I saw after the first game, Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville talking about like what this means for the title race and like who's favourites to win the titles. And I'm thinking, we've played one game. You got to slow down. There's no need to talk about like who's going to be winning, like what's going on in the title race. There is no title race at
the
moment because we've just played one game. There's no split in like the league where normally the top 6 teams or whatever have started to create a distance. There's maybe a few surprise contenders in there and you're thinking, can these teams sustain it and maybe get into Europe? We don't think they're going to win the league, whatever else. It's way too early in the season to be talking about these type of things.
Mm-hmm.
We were just trying to push these kind of things too much a little bit in the media anyway.
No, I agree.
And then I think it doesn't help the fans because the fans expect all this instant stuff. And then when your team loses, it's like it's the end of the world. Or if your team doesn't sign a player, whatever else, it's such a disaster. And like, don't get me wrong, I do want us to strengthen. I don't think we've done one in this transfer market at all. But at the end of the day, we've got one of the best teams in the country. We've got one of the best teams in Europe. We've got one of the best teams in the world. I wouldn't say our squad is as great as other team squads, but we've never relied on our squads the same as Manchester City, for example, rely on their squad when we've had success on the club. He plays generally the same. You'll probably say 14 players max, really, for most games. So and it's the whole thing. Just because we haven't bought players, they're like looking at it like, Liverpool we'll get into the top 4, but there's no chance of us winning the league. And I'm like, come on, guys, this is the same team. It's a bit older, but it's not like
same team.
It's a bit older on the wrong side of being old, if that makes sense. It's more of a team coming up into like a lot of their players coming up towards their peak years, which will be their best years. So if they improve a bit slightly anyway, and we were a force before, then we're obviously going to be a bigger force. So we should obviously we're in the title picture. And just for example, now Man United just like whenever it's announced, they've just signed Ronaldo and whatever else, and like everyone seems to be going crazy. But then I'm looking at it like, for me, when I watch Man United, a lot of the times, most of the time actually, Man United scoring goals it's not really the problem with their side. So for how good of a signing Ronaldo is,
it's not what they need.
And I don't feel he's what they need. And he will make the difference, I feel, in certain games. But in regards of them winning the league, the way Ronaldo plays and what he gives to the side at his age, at the stage of his career now, I can't see them winning the league still. I can see them winning like a cup tournament, but I can't see them winning the league because of the difference what Ronaldo is going to make for them personally.
Who was your man of the match of Chelsea, Liverpool versus Chelsea?
I probably would say Matip or Van Dijk, to be honest.
Yeah, I had Matip. Well, one or two, but I thought Matip. You know, Van Dijk. We sometimes forget about poor Joe Matip.
Yeah, I just feel I'm not just because obviously Van Dijk is who he is, and he had such a great game, and he normally always stands. I feel he just stands out anyway, just because of like the way he controls the ball, his stature on the pitch, and whatever else. But I just thought Matip was and I'm not sure if it's because of that. So then I'm thinking, when I look at it, I was feeling, Van Dijk was man of the match. But then when I'm looking at certain incidents in the game and I'm thinking back on it, I'm thinking, you know what? Or apart from when he got skinned, really, Matip was like, he was immense though. He does his work quietly, if that makes sense. Whereas Van Dijk, it's not that Van Dijk is making a scene in the show the way he does things and he's trying to be flashy.
He just does it effortlessly. So it's like, ooh, he just looks calm.
The way he just like brushes the guy off or takes the ball off, it just stands out. But the
besides when he slipped,
I'm
putting it a slip.
Yeah. It just looks almost like he's almost like a silent assassin taking the ball off them or stuff. It almost looks like it's not going to work with Matip, but then it does. Like there's certain little points where him and Lukaku were coming together, and then it might look like Lukaku's going to get the better of him, but then actually he doesn't. Whereas when you saw it with Van Dijk and you see these two coming together, it's like you can almost see straight away Lukaku's lost that battle.
Got here saying we got the best, 100% the best centre back partnership in the league. I think so as well. I think the one thing that, just going back on what we were talking about earlier in the sense of them writing us off, I think now teams will be looking at us and just saying, okay, Liverpool still got is. Like I said, we still think there's still always improvement, but they are reaching their peaks. And as long as you keep people fit, we're still a force to be reckoned with, man. The sheer fact we didn't have this option last season or the back end where we could make some changes and whatnot. But I'm so optimistic, man. It's gonna be a great season. But I think that's a perfect. Say again.
What do you think about ratings?
Do you know what? I don't think we played that amazing. As a team, I would rather do it. What would be your team? Matip is definitely underrated. What do you think your team rating is? I didn't want to do individuals because I think the person who didn't play that well was Robbo. But I didn't want to do. I think as a whole team. I had 10. What do you think?
Team 10. I'm really struggling to say 6. To be honest.
I don't think we played that well. I still don't think we've really come out of second, third gear. I don't think we've come to the game where I'm like, oh my gosh, we're like, I'm not gonna get excited over Norwich because right now everyone spanked Norwich over like 4 goals. I'm not gonna talk about that. Burnley, we played well, but I still don't think we were amazing. Chelsea played well, decent. I don't think we played that well. I was gonna give like a 6.5. It would be between a 6 and a 7, so a 6.5 for me.
I'll probably say a 5.5 to be honest. Because I wouldn't say we played average, but this was definitely our worst performance of the 3, I think, and of the 3 games so far. And I think we played slightly better than average, but we could play a lot better. And I
agree.
I just felt they say that like you said, you don't really want to do individual ratings, but in a sense, I just feel that like a lot of individuals didn't do much.
Yeah, that's why I feel like they all get bad.
I felt Robertson, in hindsight, I understand why Klopp picked him. And if I was Klopp, I probably would have picked him too, to be honest. But now looking back at it, Sneakers probably should have played just because he was on form and he's obviously fitter at this moment in time. And the big thing with Robertson is his fitness and that energy, and it was lacking in that game. He was tired for the whole match, to be honest. And again, that's why, even though when Klopp took him off, I understand Klopp taking him off because he didn't have a great game. But I just feel at that moment in time, you've got 5 minutes left. Let's go for it, man. Like, there's no sense in taking him off then if you haven't taken him off before. That's my only issue with that substitution. I felt Trent just didn't really do much in the game either. I'm not sure if it's because this whole thing with him going into the middle, and like there were points where he did put like a dangerous ball in and whatever else every so often, but his whole impact on the game was different because he cut in and stayed in the middle so much, and he wasn't moving around as he normally.
And I agree with you because it's not the first time that's been said, or it's been noticed from when Elliot started the first game. He does that. He likes to drift out wide, and this is why I always said. But remember, he's a winger that's playing in the middle, and he's just naturally just drifting out every time.
And then, as I say with Elliot, I don't think like he had a decent game. Say Fabinho had a decent game, but nothing really to like write home about. Henderson, he had a decent-ish game. I wouldn't say he had
I'm so glad you said that, because a lot of people on Twitter were saying how great he played, and I was like, were we watching the same game? I thought Henderson in that midfield three probably. There's sometimes where I watched him and he ran and he would like jog back, and that's not usual from Hendo. It's like he didn't have the legs to run back in certain times, so he kind of like jogged. And I was just thinking, it's either too soon or he should have come off the bench. But then again, who starts then, innit? So I don't know. I definitely looked at him and I thought, out of the three, he might have been the worst out of the three.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought I was being too harsh.
That's why I wasn't surprised that he got substituted. But
yeah, I was surprised, but I wasn't angry because I thought you'd rather want the free or normal free to play. So I thought Elliot would have come off. But when he took Hendo off, I was like, it doesn't matter. He's probably the worst player, worst out of the three.
Yeah, I don't feel really. I think Mane tried, but he didn't really do too much either.
Does he run at players anymore? Is it me or he other than when he runs to the byline, like when he runs to put that last ditch cross in, he used to run and do the step over and turn and tap and gone. I ain't seen him do that in ages.
He did, but he didn't do it as much as I thought he would.
Because that was his strength.
Yeah, that was his strength. Yeah, because there was a point where he done it, and there's a point he did it, and Jorginho actually fouled him. Like he obstructed him, then kind of rolled over on the floor and whatever else, and then they ended up giving the free kick to Chelsea. And there was a couple times where but I know what you're saying. He kind of ran to the byline with Thiago Silva, and he was getting the crossing. But I'm thinking, why don't you just run and just try and beat this guy? Thiago Silva's mad old, man. Like you got, and you're quick. So if you get the beating, you're gonna go past him. He ain't gonna be able to hold you. So yeah, I thought Mane, he could have done a lot more. Actually, not a bit more, a lot more. I thought Salah was trying, to be honest, but it seemed like they were doubling up on Salah too much. So he just weren't really getting the space now. Yeah, Mike kept saying, yes, Mane's becoming a try now. It's starting to look bad because it's forced. So, yeah, I kind of agree with him in that sense, you know. Mane, he doesn't look natural with Mane anymore. The way, as you're saying, when he used to do that step over and run in and like run at guys and stuff, and he used to look like he's just getting the ball and he's just doing what naturally comes to him. Where now it comes like he's thinking too much, and I don't know, it's because it's that little period he had where he weren't playing great. But I still, even though he's playing better, I still don't feel he's really recovered from that, to be honest. He's not the Mane of old yet.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to see with him.
He would shoot a lot more. He would turn in and just shoot. You know what I mean? He's looking for the pass all the time. Remember them back heels, sorry, he used to do to Robert all the time to put him through. I ain't seen one of them in ages. Yeah, I ain't seen one of them in ages.
I think he's doing this.
That's what one. Just one, man.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Because we used to think that he's overdoing this back heel. He's looking for it too much. You watch it and see it because you can see when he's going to do it. It looks so obvious. But to be fair, a lot of times it did still kind of work. But now he's not doing it at all. It's true. He's not doing it at all.
And for the only last two is for Bobby and Jota. What would you give them? Their rating?
Jota, I think he came close with that header. I'm trying to think what else did he do. Jota's always one who tries as well, but I think it's just probably when he came into because he came into the game like just after just before we scored from the penalty, that whole penalty thing, and then he's probably just in the sense where he's probably unlucky that Chelsea like the game as solid the way they did and stuff, and he just didn't really get too much space to do much by that point. And the way we were playing, I feel we were just playing too slow anyway. It just didn't help. Firmino didn't really do too much before he got injured.
He was practically playing CDM.
Yeah, he just played so deep, and he didn't really have any impacts going really in our attack. So, and to be honest, I didn't really see. I think did you see where you got this? Well, knock or something changed with him, because I just thought, wow, why is he coming off? But then when I could see him coming off and I could see him walking, he wasn't moving smoothly. So
I just thought it was a random substitution. I was like, well, why didn't you? As soon as he did it, I was thinking, why didn't you just start Jota then? And then I saw him hobbling, and I was like, oh, I feel bad now. He's hurt.
Yeah, because I was the same. I was thinking, why didn't you just start him? And normally, because with Klopp, he always makes the substitutions at the same time. It's very rare something like that happens. So when I saw Firmino's numbers, I was like, yeah. So you've admitted that you've got it wrong, sort of thing. But yeah. But that wasn't actually the case. Yeah, he was limping and.
No, that's cool. Well, that's a good place to leave it, man. International break, so we'll have a little break here, but we definitely will come back with a podcast. Thank you, Double A, and guys, have a nice day. We'll see you soon.